This is the Jerry Doyle Show.
My anger on this Mayor Bloomberg, nanny Mayor Bloomberg nonsense with the restriction of the sale of the sizes of sugary drinks, not to include, though, milkshakes, alcoholic beverages, or diet sodas, isn't just about the restriction of the size, the container that this beverage comes in. It's about the decisions that are made by stupid people who know nothing about what it is that we need to do to tackle the real issue of obesity. Let's just go with diet soda, okay? Regular soda, they're going to ban the size. Diet soda, they're not. Diet soda is tasty formaldehyde. Okay, so while you're sipping your Diet Coke, let that swirl around in your gullet for a minute. Joining us on the program, homeopathic practitioner, nationally syndicated talk show host, Robert Scott Bell. Robert, welcome back.
Jerry, it's good to be back with you. I tell you, when I read that article, too, I was like, what? They're not banning milkshakes? What is Mayor Bloomberg thinking?
No. And Mayor Bloomberg, he's so hip, he says, occasionally I have a diet beverage on a hot day. Oh, God, really?
Well, he's glad then that he's not banning the diet beverages so he can go through the drive-thru, but you're absolutely right. Those are much more dangerous, in my experience, than the sweetened with sugar sodas that used to be prevalent, but now it's all high fructose corn syrup, and we've talked about the subsidies the corn producers are getting. So really the government has, what would we call it, high fructose corn syruped everything up.
So the diet soda lobby must be a lot stronger than the non-diet soda lobby. The alcohol beverage lobbies must be stronger than others. The milkshake lobby must be shaking it up on Capitol Hill, because it seems that there's selective outrage on the part of the size matters mayor, but putting their efforts in the wrong area. Here's the problem I have, Robert. Yeah. We're getting restrictions, which are supposedly going to give us outcomes. Mm-hmm. And then when we don't get the outcomes, lo and behold, we have these wonder drugs that are now approved that were not approved 2 years ago. So either give me the restrictions or the pills, but you can't give me both if you're not going to address the real problems of obesity.
Yeah, and remember last time we were talking together on your show, you asked me about how really can we address a lot of these weighty issues, and I said we've got to eat more fat. And it's absolutely the truth as it was the day I said it. And that's the very opposite of what the Bloombergs and the government nanny staters of the world have any conception of. So they're dooming the very people that are obese now to even worse metabolic diseases by encouraging them to have the diet sodas, for instance, and the chemical milkshakes that are not milkshakes by real definitions.
Before you came on the program, I had a call. There's a doctor here in Las Vegas. Eric was his name. And he said, look, he's a pediatrician. He's a pediatric surgeon. And he says he just sees, jihugic after jihugic child coming in with hypertension, with diabetes, mm-hmm. with chronic complications because of the weighty issues. But what I'm seeing is that while his concerns obviously are valid, and what we're seeing is the fattening of America, but it seems like there's a manufacturing of this obesity epidemic seemingly popping up overnight, and a lot of people rushing forward to make a lot of money off whatever it is their lobbyists can convince these elected tools like Bloomberg to be supposedly the solutions to the problems are.
Yeah, the more synthetic we get, the fatter we get. And, of course, the lobbies are all pretty much synthetic. We talk about patent medicines, all synthetic. We talk about the diet sodas, all synthetic. And the sweeteners, in a sense, never before in history did we have these high fructose corn syrups genetically modified, fattening kids up. One of my dearest of friends that I've interviewed many times on my radio program is a pediatric surgeon out of Orlando, and he says the same thing. Of course, he acknowledges the fact that these kids are eating crap, basically, and expecting, that suddenly they're going to be miraculously healthy through surgery. No, I mean, he's there for them in those disastrous situations. But these people are starving to death, and they're starving their children to death because they're feeding them these fast foods and these foods that are processed that have little to no nutrition, and because of that, they have to consume. They're never satiated because they're afraid of fat. They've been told fat is dangerous, and as I said, we need to increase saturated fat. We need to increase omega-3 essential fatty acids, all of these things that so much of which they acknowledge. Okay, the omega-3s will give you that, but no, Robert, we can't do the saturated fats. They cause heart disease. No, read the Framingham study. They don't. But there's,
right.
I'm a little exasperated about this.
No, I understand. But then I look at that report that came out a couple of weeks ago, and one of the reasons people are fat is because they don't have access to sidewalks. And now you've got developers coming forward that are taking tax credits to build sidewalks to nowhere, which supposedly once people see from their window, oh, a sidewalk. I'm going to go outside and walk. Now that I have a sidewalk, it's not going to get Fatty McFaddison off the Barca Lounger because simply somebody put a sidewalk in outside their home. But these are all... Go ahead.
I'm not even from Vegas, and I know that. You walk on the sidewalk in the summer, your shoes are going to melt. So it's not going to encourage people to walk. You're right, and this is silly. The thing is, we've got a sedentary culture by and large, and we have to go to so-called fat farms and gyms to do any kind of exercise. And I think a lot of the false economy, based on these artificial exchanges as such, they've taken us out of the equation of being what it is to being human. I mean, we've got physical bodies. We're made to use them. We're made to work hard and work the land, and I just want everybody to grow a garden, even if it's a little thing, and that alone will make a big difference.
What are you, a Democrat supporting Michelle Obama growing a garden? What is wrong with you? You must be some type of communist plant.
Yes, make sure that the garden is filled with cadmium like Michelle Obama's garden.
Right. Now, look, 20% of the people have jobs that would be considered non-sedentary. So, I look back at the old days, farmers at the end of working the fields for 12 hours didn't call each other up and go, hey, you want to go to the gym? I mean, they pretty much stayed lean because they were out there working. So what do people need to do to just say, okay, you know what, today I am going to take control of my health present and my health future? Walk a little, start to eat different things, add certain supplements that you're not getting from the way food's been genetically modified. What is it that people can do instead of waiting for the government to say you can't have 16 slices of pizza, you can only have 8, even though it's the same size pizza? What do people do?
Well, as I said, the quality, like you've acknowledged, the nutrient-dense foods is where we're looking to go, whether it be the super green stuff. Some people can't handle that. I have a buddy of mine who, used to be really thin in high school. Now he's put on weight. He was looking more like his dad. He just went to one of those retailers, got a decent juicer, started going to the local market and started bringing these things, started juicing for a couple of meals, one meal a day. He's looking like he's in high school again. This took about a month. It wasn't that horrible. And so there are simple steps, but as far as the activity, I don't know what is going to motivate people. There's a lot of depression in our culture. We recognize that. And I think part of it is working the 80% that are working sedentary. We don't produce the growth hormone, the things that make us feel good, the endorphins when we're just sitting at a computer. I mean, how exciting can Facebook be after 2 years, right? We got to do something else. So some of it I recognize is the nutrient, let's say the lack of, we've talked about the chromium leading to hypoglycemia. This can lead to depression, the inability to regulate these energies, focal points of the body or the blood sugar alone, which is bad enough. So it's not one fit answer for everybody, except you've heard me say it time and time again, clean up our act. Clean up what goes into our body. And if we don't, there's no Bloomberg in the world that can do what we need to do for ourselves.
When you, by the way, juicing, he's talking about juices from fruits and vegetables, not Roger Clemens juicing up with steroids. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about more natural forms of juicing. Obviously, a lot of information at your website, robertscottbell.com, your program, Natural News, naturalnews.com, their website, where you can be heard Monday through Saturdays. But how do people, I guess that's the thing, it's the chicken and the salmonella egg. People know they need to do something different, but they wait for these magic solutions to come along. That pill that I can take, the hangover pill or the anti-fatty pill, where I can eat an entire Entenmann's babka and, the next day all I have to do is take a pill. I don't have to change my behavior. How do people just get it started today?
Wow, I guess the motivation for me, I've talked about my story briefly with you, the pain that I felt in my body, a young body that was racked with chronic diseases. If obesity or being overweight is painful enough to you, you'll do something to change it. However, as you know, our culture is about the quick fix. It's about the add the pill to the water, stir it up, and you're done. As much as I'd love to help everybody, the people that come to me for help that are like that, I have to send them back to the doctor and say, go get your pill. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here to teach you how to heal yourself ultimately. I mean, there are people like, what was it? I just interviewed Jenny McCarthy. Now, she's a warm and wonderful, I have to say. And she was sitting next to me. She was drinking a Coca-Cola, but it wasn't a Diet Coke, and she was as svelte and slender at 40 or whatever she is now. And so I'm not saying that you could never have a sugary drink. The point is the obsession with synthetic replenishment or replacements for what would be natural to some degree are doing us a great disservice. Like I said, I'd rather have people do the little bit of the junk food that is actually real junk food versus the artificial process. So eliminate the artificial processed food, you're already going to be a world ahead.
Robert Scott Bell is with us, homeopathic practitioner, robertscottbell.com, naturalnews.com. You can get information on his talk show, heard Monday through Saturday. Diet soda. Everybody says, well, okay, if I'm drinking a diet soda, then I must be accomplishing two things. I'm restricting my calories, but I'm also satiating my desire for a soda. Diet soda, do I understand correctly, has formaldehyde or something like that in it. At a certain temperature, we're good, but at a higher temperature, we're not?
Well, the thing is, if it's 86 degrees or cooler, it hasn't broken down into formaldehyde. Now we're talking about the aspartame, neotame, nutrasweet, or now they call it amino sweet. And yes, at 86 degrees Fahrenheit. See, if in the can of pop it stayed cool, by the time it hits your body and warms up to 98.6, you're done. The formaldehyde is going to be released. The formic acid, the end-sting poison, things like this. And these are subtle things that you might go to a doctor and say, gee, doc, I have joint pain. You're like, why do I have joint pain? Well, take this non-steroidal. And in the meantime, it was caused by your diet soda because of that. We've talked about some of the other artificial sweeteners on your program as well. I made a joke about chlorinating your pool with Splenda because it's a chlorine-based molecule. It's like, come on, do we really need to put more things that wipe out our good gut bacteria? Because we've got more bacterial cells in our body than we have human cells or animal cells or mammal cells. So we rely so much, yet these synthetics also damage the enzymes, the very ability for you to digest, let's say, different proteins, break them down, break them apart as well. So all of these things corrupting our interface with the outside world, not just, oh, well, we didn't get the calories in because I took the diet soda. It's such a ridiculously simplistic viewpoint that calories in, calories out no, different kinds of calories will be metabolized differently. Those calories containing toxic poisons are going to be making your metabolism so sluggish that even if it's a low-calorie food, it's never leaving. And so there we go with the obesity again. Instead of counting calories, we need, again, more fat, more calories, nutrient-dense, and you can eat to your heart's delight. You're not going to gain weight. You're actually going to lose it.
Nice. I like the way that sounds. I read on your website, there was a description of, I think it was how they made nutrasweet or something like that. And it didn't say what it was, but I read it. And I could have sworn you were given the recipe of how to make meth. It was like, I'm reading this going, you got to be kidding me. You heat it up, you render it down, you leave it in the sun, you add this to it, this kind of acid, this aspirin, whatever, cook it up again. We'll let the fumes, and I was like, that's NutraSweet or whatever it was, but it was something along those lines. And you were just going, I would never put that in my body knowing what it really was. But when you call it NutraSweet or diet soda or blah, 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 whoa, there you go. How bad can it be for me?
Well, yeah, they're marketing poison as if it's somehow benign, which it's not. And you're right, methanol is one of the key ingredients. Methanol is wood alcohol. It's a cumulative poison, can contribute to the optic blindness, basically, and other problems. Methanol is something, some have linked the old Gulf War illness that happened in the first Gulf War, a little bit in the second, because they sent so many cans of diet soda into the desert. They had all converted before these soldiers were drinking them, and they tasted like crap, according to the soldiers as well. So the methanol is very real. If we could send that to, maybe Bloomberg can open up a meth lab and do something productive for those people that want to end their life. I don't know, but what he's doing now is so, I don't even give him the credit of trying to help because it's so not helpful what he's doing.
Yeah, he's just one more idiot that's in charge that thinks that he can tell everybody else what it is that we need to do. And I love his line where he said, a lot of people would say that this is an expansion of the nanny state. But he said, we're not wringing our hands in New York City. We're doing something about it. He said that I think that's what the public wants the mayor to do. No, I can't say what I would like the mayor to do, and neither can you on your radio show, but I think people would get the gist. And I think this, again, goes to the notion that they don't trust us enough to do what it is we need to do to take control of our medical present and our medical future, that somehow we're too stupid to understand. No, if you put things in front of people and show them what it is that works for them, I think people will do the right thing. They can get a lot of the information from you. Robert Scott Bell, nationally syndicated talk show host, homeopathic practitioner. Go to his website, robertscottbell.com. Bookmark it, visit it often, and listen to his radio show. You can get information about the days and times at naturalnews.com. Thank you, Robert.
Thank you, JD. Always a pleasure.
Talk to you soon. Take care. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
This is the Jerry Doyle Show.